Survival of the Sickest highlights the role of diseases in our evolutionary history. The author Sharon Mellum states that some diseases are prevalent in certain populations due to the fact that a lifetime with a less harmful disease makes a person more fit than a short life without the disease. The author begins the novel by mentioning hemochromatosis. He sought to prove his hunch that this disorder was a cause for Alzheimer's later in life. He states that a driving force in his research was to figure out why disorders such as hemochromatosis prevail when they are deadly to the human condition. The author states 3 more points before continuing. We are always surrounded by bacteria and organisms you cannot see. Evolution does not occur alone, and mutation is not bad. Hemochromatosis is a genetic disorder in which cells are unable to recognize the amount of iron in the body. This results in an excess buildup of iron in the blood and may damage organs, leading to death. Although hemochromatosis may be fatal, it carries an evolutionary advantage because it creates an environment that is not optimal for bacterial growth. For example, during the Black Plague, those with hemochromatosis were more likely to survive because their white blood cells lacked sufficient iron. Diabetes, classified as type 1 genetic, type 2 dietary and lifestyle, and gestational diabetes during pregnancy, is a disorder in which the body is unable to absorb sugar in the body. It was seen that individuals who survived the Younger Dryas, a period of extreme cold, were more likely to have diabetes. This occurred because people with diabetes have high blood glucose levels, which prevents their blood from freezing from extreme cold. Diet, nutrition, environment, personal habits, and access to healthcare influence which traits are evolutionarily advantageous to a particular population. For example, those who are descendants of a population that was exposed to large quantities of sunlight have darker skin due to a higher production of eumelanin. The dark skin serves to protect the folic acid from being deteriorated by sunlight. However, the dark skin prevents them from absorbing sunlight, which is used to produce vitamin D. As a result, these individuals develop higher quantity of ApoE4, which keeps the blood full of cholesterol, allowing the body to continue making vitamin D with what little sunlight can penetrate the skin. Plants play an enormous role in human life. Fauvism is an inherited enzyme deficiency, the most common one actually. People who have fauvism and eat fava beans experience severe anemia, which can lead to death. It can be seen that fauvism is concentrated in areas where fava beans are cultivated. So why did fauvism become so common in these areas? The answer is malaria. When people with fauvism eat fava beans, the free radicals released from the fava beans lead to the breakdown of red blood cells. This prevents malaria from affecting them. Fava beans then can both help and hurt human health. Raw habanero peppers release capsaicin, which is a sticky poison that can cause a burning sensation and the degeneration of some neurons. On the other hand, Taxol, which is a powerful anti-cancer drug, was found from the bark of the Pacific yew. Aspirin, a drug we use in everyday life, was also from the bark of willow trees. Go.
Parasites. They are driven by the same motives as humans are, to survive and reproduce. Parasites use 3 main ways to spread and find their new hosts: transmission from close proximity, using other organisms to get their final destination, and traveling through contaminated water. An example of a parasite is the wasp. Its host is the spider, and its manipulative adaptation is that the spider is manipulated to make a cocoon for the larvae and remain motionless so that the larvae can eat it. The evolutionary advantage is that the larvae will be able to be protected and have food to eat. Most people today get vaccines. However, most do not know that Edward Jenner first created the vaccine from milkmaids who had cowpox and were resistant to smallpox. Eventually, he used this information in order to vaccinate a group of teenage boys who also carried immunity against smallpox. Smallpox and cowpox have many DNA similarities, so the antigen for cowpox works for smallpox as well. Scientists for the longest time thought that most DNA that do not code for anything are junk DNA. However, they are now known to be non-coding DNA and work in many ways, such as jumping DNA. Jumping DNA, as seen in corn, can be used for many different purposes, such as mutations. Whenever the plant is exposed to drought, the corn becomes resistant to it because it is intentional and discretionary mutations. Epigenetics is concerned with the study of how children can inherit and express seemingly new traits from their parents without changes in the underlying DNA. There's more and more evidence coming out that shows a mother's dietary habits can affect baby metabolism. Furthermore, it is shown that a mother's experiences can influence gene expression in her baby. That is known as the maternal effect. 20 years ago, David Barker came up with the thrifty phenotype hypothesis. He stated that there was a link between poor fetal nutrition and later obesity. Poor nutrition leads to a thrifty metabolic system, which is efficient at hoarding energy. In addition, it is seen that grandparents can influence gene expression epigenetically. Gene expression changes when methyl markers attach and prevent or activate a certain gene. Progeria is a genetic disorder in which affected individuals experience premature aging. This is due to damage to the telomeres. However, in regular aging, damage does occur to the telomeres, but at a much slower rate. Telomeres are an integral part of cancer. Over 90% of cancer cells are able to indefinitely regenerate telomeres using telomerase. Although most cancers are able to be cut off with the Hayflick limit, which limits cell reproduction to approximately 50 or 60 divisions, cancer cells can often override apoptosis signals. This allows the cancer cells to reproduce indefinitely and spread to other parts of the body. The three main points of the book, which the author mentions, are that life isn't a constant state of creation, we are always evolving, and our relationship with disease is complicated. The author states that the universe is geared toward disorder, so the survival of the sickest may not be as improbable as you think.